ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपथकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सगण ललिता शिविशाखान्वितं ये कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांद राधा कांद नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिधि नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दिनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरं योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसूक्तां सञ्जीवयति अखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्नाम् अन्यां च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणां नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं जयदं सुरतो पङ्गोर्मम मन्दमतिर्गति मत्सर्वस्य पादाम्बुजो राधां मदनमोहनो तमादिदेवं करुणानिधानं तमालवर्णं सुहृदावतारम् अपार संसार समुद्र सेतुं भजामहे भागवत स्वरूपम् परमानंद पाठाय प्रेमवर्षीय अक्षराय दे सर्वदा सर्वसेव्याय श्रीकृष्णाय नमोस्तुमे गुरुवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। हरे कृष्णा हरि ओम तत्सत। So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, text 28 onwards. वासुदेवा परा वेदा वासुदेवा परा मखा वासुदेवा परा योगा वासुदेवा परा क्रिया वासुदेवा परम ज्ञानम वासुदेवा परम तपा वासुदेवा परो धर्मो वासुदेवा परा गति। जीवेश्वरी माता जी।
हरे कृष्ण। वासुदेवा परा वेदा वासुदेवा परा मखा वासुदेवा परा योगा वासुदेवा परा क्रिया वासुदेवा परम ज्ञानम वासुदेवा परम तपा वासुदेवा परो धर्मो वासुदेवा परा गति।
वंदना माता जी।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। वासुदेव परा वेदा वासुदेव परा मखा वासुदेव परा योगा वासुदेव परा क्रिया वासुदेव परम ज्ञानम वासुदेव परम तपा वासुदेव परो धर्मो वासुदेव परा गति।
And Vivek Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. You can keep the Sanskrit also, no problem. Better for me is Sanskrit than Apple. Little bit up to you.
Little up means like this.
Yeah. Yes. No, it's Sanskrit also. Hindi, yeah. So, little bit up to you.
It's okay.
Little bit. Okay, no problem. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Vasudeva para Veda, Vasudeva para Maka, Vasudeva para Yoga, Vasudeva para Kriya, Vasudeva param Jnanam, Vasudeva param Tapaha, Vasudeva paro dharmo, Vasudeva Paragatihi.
Very bold. So we have read this last week. We read the translation also, but we'll go through once again. In the revealed scriptures, the ultimate object of knowledge is Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The purpose of performing sacrifice is to please him. Yoga is for realizing him. All fruitive activities are ultimately rewarded by him only. He is supreme knowledge, and all severe austerities are performed to know him. Religion, dharma, is rendering loving service unto him. He is the supreme goal of life. So we read the translation, we explained also. Now we'll go to the purport. That Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, is the only object of worship is confirmed in these two slokas. So in these two slokas, it is very clearly, very categorically mentioned that Lord Krishna is the object of worship. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita also. Can anyone say which is the verse in which Krishna confirms? There are many verses, okay, that he is the supreme worshipable deity, no one else. Which is a slogan? Now many slogas, okay, you can say any sloga that says Krishna is supreme.
Aham Sarvasya Prabhu.
Aham Sarvasya Prabhu is one of the sloga, because everything emanates from him. But very categorically says in this sloga, Mataha Paradaram na Anya. There is nothing beyond me. Mataha Paradaram na Anya. There is nothing beyond me. I am the supreme. Kinchit asti dhananjaya. Mayi sarvam idam protam sutre mani ganaiva. There is no truth beyond me. Mata Paradaram na Anya. Kinchit asti dhananjaya. That is, Dhananjaya is Arjuna, O Arjuna. And then he says, Sarvam idam sutre mani ganaiva. Everything is resting upon me, just like pearls are strung in a string. Okay. The pearl necklace, it is strung in a string. Okay, without the string, the pearls cannot stay together. If you just cut the string or the thread, it will be scattered here and there. So on whom everything is resting? On Krishna. He is the source of everything. There is no truth beyond him. So here also in these two slokas, it is very clearly mentioned that Krishna, the personality of Godhead, is the only object of worship because he is the supreme. There is no one above him or equal to him. So in the Vedic literature, there is the same objective, establishing one's relationship and ultimately reviving our lost loving service unto him. So in the Vedas, in the scriptures, Vedic scriptures also, the same objective is given. What is that? Why we have to read Vedas, understand Vedas, and live Vedas? Means live as per the instructions of Vedas. Why? What is the purpose? Establishing one's relationship and ultimately reviving our lost loving service unto him. Now we have lost our relationship with the Supreme Lord and the loving service unto him. So the purpose of studying Vedas and practically applying the instructions given in the Vedas is to revive our relationship and serve him. This is what actually we have been doing. We all have been doing the same thing. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Okay? All the living entities in this material world are my part and parcel. So what is the duty of the part and parcel in connection with the Supreme, the whole? What is the duty of this hand, this eyes, this nose, okay, this head, this legs? What's the duty? To coordinate and cooperate with the whole body, right? Isn't it? That's the duty. The hand says, no, I will not coordinate or I will not cooperate. No, the food is kept in the hand and the hand says, I will not take it to my mouth. What will happen? If you are adamant, if the hand is so adamant, one day we'll have to leave this body. So this is part and parcel of this body. So the part and parcel of this body has to serve this body. Similarly, we are part and parcel of that supreme whole. So our duty is to serve the supreme whole. Right? Jivere Swarupa Hoy, Krishnara Nityadas. We are eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. So similarly, when we revive this relationship, instead of serving our senses, we will serve the Supreme Lord. Then we can re-establish our lost relationship with the Supreme Lord. This is what Veda teaches us. So the main purpose of Veda is to revive our relationship. We have forgotten that we are the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. We wanted to independently enjoy this body, the extensions of the body, the things of this world. We wanted to, forgetting the very fact that we are not the enjoyers. We are supposed to be enjoyed by the Supreme Lord, since we are the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Just like the hands cannot enjoy separately, the legs cannot enjoy separately. All these parts of the body has to cooperate with the body so that the whole body can enjoy. Thereby, the parts of the body also gets enjoyment. You got it? So that's what, the Vedas teaches us. So to revive our relationship with the Supreme Lord and to serve Him. So that is the sum and substance of the Vedas. That is so if you know this Siddhanta, this philosophy, you know the essence of Vedas. If you don't know this Siddhanta, then you don't know anything about Veda. Even though you may be a big scholar, you know so many slokas, left, right, and center, you can quote slokas. But if you don't know the Siddhanta, this philosophy, this tattva, that we have lost the relationship with the Supreme Lord, we have to revive that and we have to render service to that Supreme Lord because we are part and parcel of that Supreme Lord. If we don't know this, we don't know anything about the Vedas. Maybe people may call us scholars, philosophers, you can quote many slokas from Vedic literatures, but if you are lacking this particular knowledge, you don't know anything about Vedas. That's what Prabhupada very clearly says here. So that is the sum and substance of the Vedas. In the Bhagavad Gita, the same theory is confirmed by the Lord in his own words. The ultimate purpose of the Vedas is to know him only, which is the sloka. The ultimate purpose of the Vedas is to know him only. What is the sloka in Bhagavad Gita? Who remembers? It's a famous sloka. 15.15. Bhagavad Gita 15.15. Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto matah smriti jnanam apohanam cha vedescha sarve rahameva vedyo vedanta kridveda videva cham vedescha sarve aham eva vedyo. To know all the Vedas means to know me. Okay. To know all the Vedas is to know me. That's what here he says. The ultimate purpose of the Vedas is to know him. Know who? Krishna. Vedesya sarver aham eva vedyu. To know me. That is the purpose of Vedas. So all the revealed scriptures are prepared by the Lord through his incarnation in the body of Srila Vyasadeva, just to remind the fallen souls conditioned by material nature of Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. So all the revealed scriptures There are many, 4 Vedas, 108 Upanishads, 18 Puranas, Samhitas, Aranyakas. There are so many. Are prepared by the Lord. How? By Vyasadeva in his Shaktiyavesha incarnation, avatar. So Lord, as his Shaktiyavesha avatara, as Vyasadeva, compiled all these scriptures. That's what Prabhupada says here. No demigod can award freedom from material bondage. So how much ever you are close to the demigods, to worship the demigods, you will not be able to get liberated from this material world. They cannot save us from the material bondage. That is the verdict of all the Vedic literatures. Impersonalists who have no information of the personality of Godhead minimize the omnipotency of the Supreme Lord and put him on equal footing with all other living beings. And for this act, such impersonalists get freedom from material bondage only with great difficulty. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Avajanandi ma mudha manushim tanumashra. Param bhava majanando mama bhuta maheshwara. Okay. Avajanandi ma mudha. Fools deride me when I come in human form. They treat me just like an ordinary person. They forget the very fact that I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead and I am inexhaustible, indestructible. Krishna says that. That's what it is said, that impersonalists who have no information of the personality of Godhead minimize the omnipotency of the Supreme Lord and put him on equal footing with all other living beings. Just treat the Supreme Lord also as one of them, one among them, just like Duryodhana, for example. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was present just right in front of him. But he could not understand that he is the Supreme Lord. He treated him just like an ordinary person, just a Gopa. He's a Mayavi. He used to tell him, you are a Mayavi. When he came for Sandhi, okay, what did he say? You are a Mayavi. You are a Gopa, just a coward boy. But all the Pancha-Pandavas, all the other great personalities knew that Krishna is not an ordinary person. He is the Supreme Personality of God himself, Narayana himself. So such people, such fools minimize the omnipotency of the Supreme Lord and put him on equal footing with all other living beings. And for this act, such impersonalists get freedom from material bondage only with greed. So such people will not be getting the liberation very easily. With very difficulty only they will get the liberation. So they have to go through the cycle of birth and death many, many, many times. Sahasra, what is that? Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit edati siddhaye yadadam api siddhanam kaschit mam veti tattvada. Manushyanam sahasreshu. Out of many, many thousands of people, only few will endeavor to know the Supreme Lord. And out of such perfected being, hardly one will know me in truth. That's what Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So they can surrender unto him only after many, many births in the culture of trance and knowledge. That's what I said. Manushyanam sahasreshu. Many, many births. So it's not easy. Those who lack the right knowledge, those who doesn't consider the Lord Krishna as a supreme, they will have to undergo the cycle of birth and death again and again. So one may argue that the Vedic activities are based on sacrificial ceremonies. That's true, but all such sacrifices are also meant for realizing the truth about Vasudeva. So some people may argue that the Vedic activities are based on sacrificial. We have to do sacrifice, yajnas, homas. So they will give importance for sacrifice, but they will forget the very fact that all these sacrifices are done to please the Supreme Lord and to re-establish our relationship with the Supreme Lord. They forget that point. So, but all such sacrifices are also meant for realizing the truth about Vasudeva. Another name of Vasudeva is Yajna, sacrifice. And in the Bhagavad Gita, it's clearly stated that all sacrifices and all activities are to be conducted for the satisfaction of Yajna or Vishnu. Yajna means Vishnu. Yajna Purusha is Vishnu. So Yajna means sacrifice. Sacrifice means to satisfy the Supreme Lord Vishnu. So any activity that facilitates for the satisfaction of Vishnu is called sacrifice. Any activity. So Yajna means simply to satisfy Vishnu or Krishna. So this is the case also with this yoga system. Yoga means to get into touch with the Supreme Lord. Yoga means to link with the Supreme Lord. To unite with the Supreme Lord. That is yoga. Sacrifice, yajna is also same for the same purpose. So the process, however, includes several bodily features such as asana, dhyana, pranayama, meditation, and all of them are meant for concentrating upon the localized aspect of Vasudeva represented as Paramatma. So there are many processes recommended in the Vedas, to connect with the Supreme Lord. Okay, so one of the processes recommended in the Vedas is Ashtanga Yoga. That is what mentioned here. There's Karma Yoga in Krishna consciousness, Dhyana Yoga, that is Ashtanga Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. Different processes. According to time, place, and circumstances, these processes vary. So here, Prabhupada mentioned that process, however, includes this is what is that? Yama Niyama, Asana, okay, Pranayama, Pratyahara, then Dharana, Dhyana, Dharana, and Samadhi, like that. 8 limbs of the Ashtanga Yoga. And all of them are meant for concentrating upon the localized aspect of Vasudeva. What is that localized aspect? Paramatma. The localized aspect of Bhagwan is Paramatma, who is dwelling in the heart of every living entity. Paramatma realization is but partial realization of Vasudeva. And if one is successful in that attempt, one realizes Vasudeva in full. So Paramatma realization is a partial realization, partial understanding of the Supreme Absolute Truth. The Absolute Truth has how many aspects? Absolute Truth has how many aspects? Three aspects. Which are those? Brahmedi, Paramatmeti, Bhagwaniti, Sadhyade. Brahman aspect, Paramatma aspect, Bhagwan aspect. So those who know only the Brahman aspect, it's a partial understanding. Those who know only the Paramatma aspect, again partial understanding. Those who know the Bhagwan aspect, it's a complete understanding. In Bhagwan, you know the Paramatma and Brahman aspect also. So that's why it is mentioned here. Paramatma realization is but partial realization of Vasudeva. It's a partial, it's not a complete understanding of Sri Bhagwan, Vasudeva. And if one is successful in that attempt, one realizes Vasudeva in full. Okay. But by ill luck, most yogis are stranded by the powers of mysticism achieved through the bodily process. So although Dhyana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga is one process to link with the Supreme Lord, to understand or realize the Supreme Lord, most of the time the mystic yogis get struck where? Where they get stuck? In mystic powers. That's what is mentioned here. Okay. By the powers of mysticism achieved through the bodily process. So mystic powers, there are Ashtasiddhis. So what are the Ashtasiddhis? Just like becoming the smallest of the small, the biggest of the big. Okay. And getting things that are very far sitting in one place. Okay. That is, Mahima, Prapti, Lehima. These are all some names. There are 8 types. That means you can become the smallest of the small. You cannot even see. This is Siddhi. And you can be the biggest. And sitting here, now you're all sitting in Abu Dhabi. Okay. On my table, there is a mouse. If you have the Siddhi, you can stretch your hand and take this mouse from here. This is Prapti Siddhi. These are all material. So people who engages in such Ashtanga Yoga, most of them get stuck there in this material siddhis, in developing these material siddhis. That's why you can see some of the Babas having this mystic power. But we should never think that having this mystic power, that he becomes God or she becomes God. This mystic power is also material. It's not spiritual. Okay. There are many yogis in the Himalayan caves who can exhibit such mystic powers. They are not gods. By practicing this Ashtanga Yoga system, they can achieve this, they can attain this mystic yoga. It's possible. Okay. So what is the purpose of getting these mystic powers? What is ultimately what do you want to achieve? So earlier also I've told this story. You know, there was a person in a village. He went to the Himalayan region and he got trained under some mystic yogis, some mystic feats. Okay. So he was there in the Himalayan caves with all these yogis practicing this mysticism, and he became expert in one feat. What is that? Walking on the water. So in 25 years, he learned the mysticism of walking on the water. Can we walk on the water? Can we walk? We cannot walk, right? But he learned this. Then after 25 years, he came to his village and he announced to all the villagers, look, I have become a yogi. I know this mysticism of walking on the water. So please come, I will show you. So all the villagers were very surprised. So this person who went to the Himalayas and learned this mysticism, now he's going to show this, feat, this walking on the water. So he invited all of them to the river bank. Then he started exhibiting his mystic power by walking on the water, crossing the river from one side to another side on the river, on the water. So there was a boatman, rowing a boat little far away. So all these people were gathered here and they were all saying, wow, wow, so good. So what a mystic yogi he is. Then the boatman said, what is the big deal in it? You just give me 25 paise, I will take you across this river. Okay, you wasted 25 years for practicing this feat. What did you gain at the end of the day? Nothing. So if you can produce some apple or something, some few grams of gold or silver from nowhere, in what way it is going to help you? Nothing. Some name, fame, that's all. Magicians are also doing the same thing. They get name and fame. But how can you get out of the cycle of birth and death? It's not possible. So Ashtanga Yoga, the yoga is to unite with the Supreme Lord, not to gain some material mystic powers. So people get astonished by such mystic people who can exhibit such mysticism. So there'll be so many followers behind them. So we should not, be enamored by such mystic people. We should know the purpose of our life, human life, what is our goal, then we should go in that direction. Not get misguided by such, astonishing feats of mystic yogis. There are so many. Some of the Babas may perform such mystic powers, but just ignore them. That's not our cup of tea. We want to attain the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. That is our goal. So we should focus on that. Okay, so but by ill luck, see, I'll read that again. But by ill luck, most yogis are stranded by the powers of mysticism achieved through the bodily process. By ill luck. That is not the purpose. That's not the goal. Ill-fated yogis are given a chance in the next birth by being placed in the families of good learned brahmanas or in the families of rich merchants in order to execute the unfinished task of Vasudeva realizing. Such yogis will get a chance to take birth again in the next life in the families of brahmanas and rich merchants so that they can continue their unfinished task of uniting with the Supreme Lord. So that's what Prabhupada says here. So if such fortunate brahmanas and sons of rich men properly utilize the chance, they can easily realize Vasudeva by good association with saintly persons. Unfortunately, such preferred persons are captivated again by material wealth and honor, and thus they practically forget the aim of life. So when they get an opportunity to be born in the family of a brahmanas or devotees or rich merchants, they should not misuse that opportunity again, what they did in the previous lives. They should utilize that in the service of the Lord, in serving the Supreme Lord, in practicing devotional service. Okay, if they forget that in that life also, then again they will have to come back. Okay. So they should not misuse that opportunity of getting a birth in an aristocratic family or in the family of a Brahmana. So that's what Prabhupada is clearly mentioning here. Unfortunately, such preferred persons are captivated again because the material world, the Maya is so strong. So even though they got a conducive atmosphere to practice Krishna conscious activities, they don't do that. Instead, they are attracted by Maya and they're attracted by the material wealth and honor, and they go behind that. And they unnecessarily they spoil that human life also. That's very, very beautifully Prabhupada says in this part. Okay, so this is also so for the culture of knowledge. According to Bhagavad Gita, there are 18 items in culturing knowledge. By such culture of knowledge, one becomes gradually prideless, devoid of vanity, non-violent, forbearing, simple, devoted to the great spiritual master, and self-controlled. By culture of knowledge, one becomes unattached to earth and home and becomes conscious of the miseries due to death, old age, and disease. So when we cultivate knowledge, the real knowledge, then we will not get attached to all this name and fame and so many material facilities. So, yes, yes.
18 items to 18 items.
They are not mentioned though. It is there in the Bhagavad Gita.
Oh.
They are not mentioned everything. They, just like even the few sample like non-violent, forbearing, simple, devoted to the great spiritual master, self-control.
Oh.
So these are all. So in the Bhagavad, I think I don't know which chapter it is. 16th chapter, I think. So all the 18 items are mentioned there. Okay. So by culture of knowledge, one becomes unattached to earth and home and becomes conscious of the miseries due to death, birth, old age, and disease. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. If these knowledges are cultivated. See, good habits we have to cultivate. Bad habits will come automatically. You don't have to cultivate. Good habits you have to cultivate. You have to take effort. But bad habits you don't have to cultivate. See the thing? You don't have to take effort at all. Very easily we will get that. But to cultivate good habit means you have to take a lot of effort. So, and all culture of knowledge culminates in devotional service to the personality of Godhead. So, all knowledge culminates where? In the personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. Therefore, Vasudeva is the ultimate in culturing all different branches of knowledge. Culture of knowledge leading one to the transcendent plane of meeting Vasudeva is real knowledge. Physical knowledge in its various branches is condemned in the Bhagavad Gita as ajnana or the opposite of real knowledge. So there are two types of knowledge, Vidya and Avidya. So Vidya is the knowledge that is that will facilitate us to attain our purpose of human life. Avidya is only physical, for our physical wellness and sense enjoyment. So in Bhagavad Gita, it is condemned. That's called as Ajnana. That's called Avidya, or the opposite of real knowledge. So in the schools, colleges, universities, what knowledge are we getting? Hmm?
Material
Jadavidya,
knowledge.
Avidya, Ajnana. Just how we can survive in this material world, how we can make more money, how we can enjoy more, compete with others, all others like PhD. We are all having PhD. What is PhD? Pull leg or puller leg. That is PhD. Pull him down or pull her down. So this knowledge we are getting from where? School, colleges, and universities. Not the real knowledge, not about the soul, not about the mind, not about the false ego. I mean, not about the ego. Okay, so therefore, Vasudeva is the ultimate in culturing all different branches of knowledge, culture of knowledge, leading one to the transcendental plane of meeting. Vasudeva is real knowledge. Vasudeva Paramjnanam. Physical knowledge in its various branches is condemned in Bhagavad Gita as Ajnana, or the opposite of real knowledge. The ultimate aim of physical knowledge is to satisfy the senses. So these are all Jada Vidya. Jada Vidya means for the satisfaction of senses. It is not to attain the actual goal of human life, which means prolongation of the term of material existence and thereby continuance of the threefold miseries. So the more we are engaging ourselves in cultivating the Jara Vidya, Jara Jnana, Ajnana, or Avidya, we are prolonging our miserable life in this material world. It's a miserable life. Why? Why it is miserable? We have to undergo again and again Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. So it's not a good proposition. Birth is miserable, death is miserable, and in between Jara and Vyadi is miserable. So where we are enjoying in this material world? No. But we are after this only, Jada Vidya only. We are trying to get more and more academic degrees. Okay. This B.Tech, M.Tech, doctorate, then postdoc. And we have, after the name, so many ABCDs. What's the use? Krishna is not going to see our visiting card, after the name, we have got PhD, we have got MBBS, we have got what is FRCS. Krishna is not going to see that. How much you are chanting, how sincerely are you chanting, how you are approaching me, with what attitude. So this is what Krishna sees. Krishna doesn't see these material opulences. But unfortunately, all of us are, unfortunately, all of us are in that. We are all sailing in the same boat. Isn't it? So it is condemned. It is condemned in Bhagavad Gita by Krishna himself. It's only prolonging the miserable life of material existence is nescience, avidya, avatnya, atnyata. Okay. But the same physical knowledge leading to the way of spiritual understanding helps one to end the miserable life of physical existence and to begin the life of spiritual existence on the plane of Vasudeva. So the same physical knowledge we can divert to understand the Supreme Lord. So our knowledge in the school, colleges, and the universities can also be used to understand the Supreme Lord. If you don't know to write, read, then how can we understand the tattva or philosophy of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam? So this knowledge can be utilized in understanding Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam and to propagate to others also. So this can be utilized. It's not, see, this knowledge becomes avidya or ajnana only when we utilize for our sense gratification. The same knowledge can be utilized to know Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and other Vedic literatures. Then it becomes what? Vidya. So, but the same physical knowledge leading to the way of spiritual understanding helps one to end the miserable life of physical existence and to begin the life of spiritual existence on the plane of Vasudeva. The same applies to all kinds of austerities, tapasya. Okay, so it's Vasudeva, Param Tapa. Okay. Tapasya, austerities. What is the definition of austerity? This will not finish today, I think. What is the, how do you define austerity? Kapil Prabhu, how do you define what is austerity means?
Prabhuji,
Tapasya. Yeah.
tapasya, right, sir?
Yeah.
Prabhuji?
Mm.
Yeah, so Prabhuji, let's say we are doing some intense, let's say fasting or something, maybe.
Yeah, it's a tapasya. Yeah,
But, yeah,
it's a
Sacrifice
tapasya.
something to get.
yeah, to achieve some higher, to achieve
Yeah.
something higher,
So,
actually.
yeah,
Higher
really.
cause.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. So, austerity means accepting some voluntary inconvenience. Okay, accepting some voluntary inconveniences to get some higher goal.
Yeah.
See, it is nobody wants to get inconvenience, isn't it? We like inconvenience, no? Getting up early in the morning, 3:30 or 4:30 is not easy, especially in a very cold season, winter season. You want to sleep more and more. And fasting without food or without water is not very pleasant for most of us. So it's a little inconvenience. Voluntarily we are accepting so that we can attain something higher. So tapasya. Tapasya means, but God never says you fast for, the whole life. No. True fasting only Krishna recommended. It's good for our system also. It's good for our physical body also. So 24 hours our body is working. No, digesting. We are eating 3 times a day. We are eating, and that has to be digested. So almost 24 hours it is working to digest the food that we eat, right? So if we give 2 days rest for the body, it is good for the body also. And that 2 days, that fasting Ekadashi I'm talking about, that 2 Ekadashi days, we can be close to Krishna. We don't have to eat anything. So all other related work we can put off, and we can read Bhagavad Gita, we can chant more, we can read Bhagavatam, and we can engage in devotional service more on that 2 days. So this is a little austerity. So the same applies to all kinds of austerity. So austerity means taking or accepting some inconveniences for something higher purpose to achieve Krishna. Tapasya means voluntary, yeah, it is mentioned here. Voluntary acceptances of bodily pains to achieve some higher end of life. It's there already. I didn't read that. Okay. So Ravana and Hiranyakashipu underwent a severe type of bodily torture to achieve the end of sense gratification. So both of them, they did tapasya, but that tapasya was for what? Not to attain the Supreme Lord, but to attain sense gratification. That is not recommended. Sometimes modern politicians also undergo severe types of austerities to achieve some political end. Politicians, they also, hunger strike, they go on under strike for getting some political ends. This is not actually tapasya. Prabhupada says this is not tapasya, because anything material, it's not tapasya. If we are the object or the goal is material, it cannot be called tapasya. One should accept voluntary bodily inconvenience for the sake of knowing Vasudeva, because that is the way of real austerities. Otherwise, all forms of austerities are classified as modes of passion and ignorance. So, if we are doing austerities, it should be to know Supreme Lord, to please Supreme Lord. And that is only in the mode of goodness. All other tapasyas for meeting material ends, that is in the mode of passion and ignorance. Passion and ignorance cannot end the miseries of life. Only the mode of goodness can mitigate the threefold miseries of life. What are the threefold miseries of life? Threefold miseries, Trivida Klesha. Forgot?
आदि
You know it?
भौतिक
Eh?
आदि भौतिक
Yeah. Adi Baudik, Adhyadmik, Adi Devik. Very good. Okay, so these are the threefold miseries. So, only the mode of goodness can mitigate the threefold miseries of life. Vasudeva and Devaki, the so-called father and mother of Lord Krishna, underwent penances to get Vasudeva as their son. Lord Sri Krishna is the father of all living beings. BG 14:4. Therefore, he is the original living being of all other living beings. He is the original eternal enjoyer amongst all other enjoyers. So which is BG 14:4. Sarva yonishu kaunteya murtaya sambhavanti yaha tasam brahma mahat yonir aham bija pradapida. I am the eternal seed giving father. Krishna says, I am the eternal seed giving father. Which, yeah, 14:4. Therefore, he is the original living being of all other living beings. He is the original eternal enjoyer amongst all other enjoyers. Therefore, no one can be his begetting father. That's why, you see, if you read this purport very clearly, now here they says, therefore, he is the original seed giving father. Aham bija pradapida. Therefore, no one can be his begetting father. No one can be his begetting father, as the ignorant may think. So here Prabhupada is used. Look, Vasudeva and Devaki, the so-called father and mother of Lord Krishna. The so-called father and mother of Lord Krishna. Because he is the supreme father for everyone. So how he can have mother and father? This is only for the purpose of Leela. He himself is father for everyone. He cannot have father and mother. That's a Prabhupada mentioned here, the so-called father and mother. So, he is the original eternal enjoyer amongst all other enjoyers. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam. He is the Bhokta. Bhokta means enjoyer. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam. He is the enjoyer of all sacrifices and austerities. Therefore, no one can be his begetting father. Therefore, no one can be his begetting father, as the ignorant may think. Lord Sri Krishna agreed to become the son of Vasudeva and Devaki upon being pleased with their seafarer. Why did he come as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki? Because they prayed to get Krishna as their son. That's why he agreed to it. Because they did severe austerities for that. Therefore, if any austerities have to be done, they must be done to achieve the end of knowledge, Vasudeva. I don't think we can. One more para is there. Can we finish it? Okay.
Yeah, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
So, Vasudeva is the original personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. As explained before, the original personality of Godhead expands himself by innumerable forms. We know that Lord expands in many other forms, Vishnu forms. Ete chamsa kalapumsa Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. So many portions of the portions like that he expands for various reasons. Such expansion of forms is made possible by his various energies. His energies are also multifarious, and his internal energies are superior and external energies are inferior. He has multifarious energies. Out of them, three are important: internal, external, marginal. Andaranga, Vairanga, and Tatastha. Okay. So the internal is superior to the external. Internal potency or internal energy is superior to the external energy. So they are explained in the Bhagavad Gita 7.4 to 6, 7th chapter 4 to 6, as the Para and the Apara Prakriti. Para Prakriti is the internal, Apara Prakriti is the external. So his expansions of various forms which take place while the internal energies are superior forms, whereas the expansions which take place while the external energy are inferior forms. Okay. So that we are the Lord's expansion in a way. Okay, we are Lord's expansion. Swamsha and Vibhinnamsha. We are in the Vibhinnamsha category. All the Vishnu's avatars are in the Swamsha category. Okay. So the soul also belongs to the internal category, internal potency. The bodies of all the living entities are the product of external energy. So that's what it is mentioned here. The living entities who are expanded by his internal potency are eternally liberated persons, whereas those who are expanded in terms of the material energies are eternally conditioned souls. Therefore, all cultural of knowledge, so austerities, sacrifice, and activities should be aimed at changing the quality of the influence that is acting upon us. So we should come under the potency or energy of internal potency. Now we are in the external, we are in the material world. Material world is under the external energy, right? We have to shift from this external energy to internal energy. That's what is mentioned here. Because Maya is the controller of external energy. And just to change the quality of the influence, we must endeavor to cultivate spiritual energy. Only then we can go to the eternal world, that is to the internal energy of whom the spiritual world is. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that those who are Mahatmas or those whose minds have been so broadened as to be engaged in the service of Lord Krishna are under the influence of internal potency. And the effect is that such broad-minded living beings are constantly engaged in the service of the Lord without deviation. Which is the slogan? Anyone remembers that? In the Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned all the Mahatmas are under the protection of internal energy. We also should go there, which is the slogan in Bhagavad Gita. Anyone remembers? Mahatmanastu mam partha devim prakriti machrida vajanti ananya manasyo nyatva bodhadim avyayam. Mahatmanastu mam, Mahatmas, all the great souls. O Partha, O Arjuna, devim prakriti machrida. Will take shelter of my divine energy, that is internal energy. So we are not Mahatmas. We are not great souls because we have taken shelter of the external energy of the Supreme Lord. That's why we are stuck in this material world, enjoying our senses, forgetting the relationship of this, forgetting our relationship with the Supreme Lord. So that's what is mentioned here. That should be the aim of life, and that is the verdict of all Vedic literatures. No one should bother himself with fruitive activities or dry speculation about transcendent knowledge. Everyone should at once engage himself in the transcendent loving service of the Lord. Nor should one worship different demigods who work as different hands of the Lord for creation, maintenance, or destruction of the material world. Okay, it's clear? No one, nor should one worship different demigods who are different demigods who work as different hands of the Lord for creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material world. They are part and parcel of they are different limbs of the Supreme Lord who are authorized in three areas. Which are the three areas? Srishti, Sthiti, Samhara. Creation, maintenance, or destruction of the material. There are innumerable powerful demigods who look over the external management of the material world. So all the demigods are empowered to take care of the management of the material world. They are all different assisting hands of Lord Vasudeva. They're all assistants to Lord Vasudeva in these functions. Even Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are included in the list of demigods. But Lord Vishnu or Vasudeva is always transcendently situated. Even though he accepts the quality of goodness of the material world, he is still transcendental to all material worlds. Because Lord Vishnu is the master of the mode of goodness. Brahma is the master of mode of passion. Lord Shiva is the master of Lord of ignorance. So the following example will clear that matter more explicitly. In the prison house, there are the prisoners and the managers of the prison house. Both the managers and the prisoners are bound by the laws of the king. But even though the king sometimes comes in prison, he is not bound by the laws of that prison house. It's a very beautiful example given. The laws of the prison, who are bound by that? The prisoners. The inmates, the prisoners, the victims are bound by the laws of the prison. But the managers of the prison, okay, the warden, the superintendent of the prison, okay, and sometimes the king himself comes to the prison. Are they bound by these laws? No. Even though they are in the jail, they are not bound by the rules and regulation of the prisoners. Okay, the king is therefore always transcendental to the laws of the prison house, as the Lord is always transcendental to the laws of the material world. Just like how the king and the officers or the workers in the prisons are exempted from the laws of the prison, similarly, the Lord, although he is coming in this material world, he is not bound by the laws of this material world. He is aloof, he is beyond, he is transcendental to the laws of this material world. It's very clear. The king visits the prison house once in a while to just, what you call, console the prisoners there. But it doesn't mean that the king is also subjected to the laws of the prison house. Similarly, the Supreme Lord comes to this material world to help the pious living entities go back home, back to Eden. But it doesn't mean that when he comes to this material world, he is bound by the laws of this material world. So beautiful. So this is, so text 28 and 29 we took. Okay. So text 30. Next week onwards. Okay. Vancha kalpatarubhesya kripa sindhu vevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय गुरु महाराज की जय गो प्रेम। Hari Hari Bol.